Hi everybody, it's Rachael Warner from Engage and Grow Central Midlands. Welcome back to the Future of Our People video series. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Tracy Tilbury from the Collingwood Group. So welcome Tracy, really good to have you here. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. First off, can you just explain a little bit about Collingwood, your background, and yeah, let's just get started with a few intros.
Okay, so yeah, I joined the company about 3 weeks ago, so I'm still learning quite a lot about the company at the moment. Founded in 1901, we do lighting solutions for all sorts of sectors. So we started off, I believe, doing lighting for wholesale, so beautiful lighting. You can see behind me there's a beautiful swimming pool. I wish I was in it, but a beautiful swimming pool with the lighting. So we give lighting solutions to companies, and we're now looking to go into industry. So looking for places like hospitals, restaurants, all those kinds of things to give lighting solutions. We predominantly manufacture abroad and then bring it into the UK. And then, like I say, I've been working on wholesales up until very recently, where we're now looking at projects and closer to home kind of industry. So yeah, that's kind of a nutshell, I think.
Cool. So lots to do then, lots going on with that shift.
Yeah, definitely. So we're definitely growing again. So we had a bit of a downsizing recently, but we're definitely, because we're taking on projects and looking to get into residential and to the marketplace rather than wholesale, we're definitely growing. So yeah, we're back on a growth curve.
Right. And then how many are you at the moment?
Employees?
Yes.
So at the moment we've got probably between 80 and 100 employees. We've scaled back a little while ago, probably about 18 months ago, to just under that number, and now we're looking to grow again. So we're recruiting probably about a dozen roles right now, but because they're niche, yeah, it's a niche market, so we're having to think about what that looks like going to market, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so is it specialist skills that a lot of the roles that you're filling?
Yeah, because we're looking, yeah, R&D kind of thing, project management. We've got our sales team and projects sales team that we've started to grow as well. So, and because we're in lighting, it is quite niche at the minute.
Yeah, right, okay. Lots of challenges ahead, lots of opportunities ahead though.
Yes, definitely.
So obviously, like you've only been in Collingwood a few weeks, so I won't start asking you about the challenges that you face since you arrived. But in terms of your HR career over the years, what are the biggest issues that you've seen? I think especially recently, and I suppose my secondary question to that is there anything specific in the sector that Collingwood's in that you need to pay particular attention to when it comes to employee engagement and culture?
I think that over the last summer previous role, we went through COVID, and I worked in a warehouse environment, and we had to work through COVID to ensure that everything went smoothly because it was e-com work. So for me, over the last few years, it's been a tough few years because we've had our workers, especially like I say, my last role, where we've had to be in the warehouse working to ensure that everybody gets all the products and things like that, and having to ensure that the safety of those employees throughout that COVID period. And coming out of that COVID period, and literally in the last, I don't know, 12 months, I would have said, we've obviously had the recession, or even though they're not classing it as a recession, it very much feels like a recession. And so therefore it's made an impact on people's morale, financially. I've noticed that the market has changed. If you think about to the beginning of the year, salaries in the market were very different to where they are now. Very, very different. we've got companies who are struggling. Look at Wilco, for example, losing many people. And whilst some of those people can be absorbed into other companies, we've still got, for us, for example, for Collingwood, we're looking for lighting designers. So not necessarily in the same market, if that makes sense. Wages have gone up, which has an impact to the bottom line for every company. And it's just about trying to ensure that you get the right people in at the right place, without losing the staff that you've got in place.
That interesting. There's two things there. First, in terms of getting the people with the right skills into the right roles. How do you go about doing that in such a tough market that we're facing at the moment? Any insights that you think our viewers would find useful?
I think you need to be literally in the same. I've just realised actually, Rachel, I've got a colleague in here. Do you want me to move?
There is a little bit of background noise. If I just pause the recording, hang on a sec. So just returning back to my question, you talked about getting the right people with the right skills into the right roles. Recruitment in this marketplace is tough. What's your plan?
So it's about branding as well. If you've got a good branding and a good reputation, that always helps. For us as a smaller company, it's a bit tough. We've got big people to compete with, if that makes sense. So I think having a good reputation for being a good employer is really key, and having some really good feedback from our employees is really key as well, and understanding what they require, so that when somebody's coming in and onboarding, we're ticking all the right boxes. Getting them in is really tough at the minute, so sometimes it's about looking on LinkedIn, headhunting, especially for niche roles that we're looking for, but it's all about as well some of our line managers having that contact with the candidate to really sell who we are and what we can bring and what values we have. So for me, that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think something that a lot of leaders that I'm speaking to at the moment, they're getting yeses, but then people are actually getting kind of attracted by a slightly increased, and so they're losing them between the offer acceptance and actually day one. I'm like, that's such a critical time. Like your engagement, obviously the engagement starts with the first touch point.
Right.
That it's almost like no man's land time, and it's so dangerous.
Right.
And that's when you really want to
because
tease them.
I was talking to exactly, and I was talking to one of our managers this morning, and he said, "Oh my God, it's great. We've got somebody coming into our internal sales team." He said, "But I'm not holding my breath just yet, because that could change." And that's but do you know what? It's a candidate market right now, in that respect, because people want to hang on to the experience they've got. They want to, keep their employees. So I get it, totally get it. But at the same time, if we can keep in touch with that candidate and just keep talking to them and making them feel valued before they've even walked through the door, I think that's key too.
Yeah, definitely. And then just going on to what you said around in terms of actually retaining staff.
Yeah.
So you're recruiting to grow rather than recruiting to replace, which I think is another. You don't want that level of extra recruitment, do you?
Right. Exactly. So for me, I'm coming into the role here. I'm about to do a bit of a pulse survey to understand what's going on with our teams, get some feedback, and do a bit of a "you said we did" program of, okay, let's listen to and I think that's really key, listening to the employees and understanding how they're feeling, what the work culture is like, and all of that piece, because retaining employees is really key. Like you say, it's a cost as well as a morale issue, for the rest of the team as well. So, you know, when you lose a key member of staff, most of the team, you can understand, go, oh, we don't want to lose them. Right, okay, so what do we do before we get there? And that for me is all about engagement and understanding what's going on, keeping a finger on the pulse, for understanding how the employees are feeling. We're lucky here, touch wood, that, you know, not, you know, our turnover isn't very high, which is good. So we must be doing something right. So that's good too. And I think sometimes that's all about listening and understanding what they're going through, you know, especially in things like recession, giving them additional support, financial support, as in, you know, advice lines and things like that they can turn to if they need to. So the EAP is important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. Really good stuff. What would you say you're most proud of when it comes to kind of employee engagement? Again, this might not be at Collingwood, this might be in one of your previous roles. But yeah, what can you give yourself a pat on the back about?
I think so. In my previous role, we opened up a new site and we had a 1 year anniversary, and it was a family and friends day as well. So we encouraged them to come along. We got some face painting, some mini golf going. We had the fire brigade and the police on site. Do you know what I mean? It was that, not just about the employees, because the employees go home and they've got families to go to. So include them as well. So we had, you know, kids love the face painting. It was great, and we've got some ride along courses and all sorts of things that they could do, and pitch and putt. So for us, it's not just, you know, the employees come to work, but at the end of the day, you know, they're going home to the families, and including them is key as well. So having a family fun day really worked, and we did some great charity work as well. So we did like a tombola, ended up, I think we got about £1,000 in the end, to go to our local charity. So there's those kinds of things that, you know, I think are important, and also giving back to the community, things like that. So for example, every year for Easter eggs, we asked the teams to bring in Easter eggs, and we took them to the local hospice and things like that. So it just means that they're contributing to the wider community as well, and that makes them feel good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So powerful. I think I think engagement and culture, it's such a minefield. Whereas actually, if you strip it back to what we need as humans, you know, we need connection, we need trust, we need fun, you know,
exactly,
all that sort of stuff. So it doesn't have to be really complicated. You know, have the day to spend with your family, and, you know, to go along and get their face painted and, you know, sit in the police car, it might be.
Precisely.
Yeah, that's really, really
and
good.
It's not a mess. You don't have to make it extortionate either. So, you know, for local charities to come along, and Mind, for example, would have put, we didn't have them at the time, but have had them before, where they put their own charity tent up, kind of thing. So, and again, it doesn't have to cost an absolute fortune for it to happen, but it's about the inclusion piece.
Yeah, definitely. Love it. So you mentioned that you're about to do a pulse survey, which one of my questions is, like, how do you know that your people are engaged? It's quite often, you know, leaders like, I just know. I'm like, do you? But you're clearly a survey fan, which is music to my ears. And obviously, you've only just arrived, but you're straight in there to get a sense check of how people are feeling.
Right. Yeah, exactly that. Because, you know, and again, I'll come back to the fact that, you know, we're all going through a bit of a tough time at the minute outside of work. You know, people have got many worries, or there's, you know, everybody's got some worries going on. If we can make things better inside of work, and again, coming down to EAP and just signposting them to some counselling or some financial advice, that's great. But what else do they need? What else was going on? So I'm very much about understanding. We did employee surveys where I've always been, and I think it's key. And again, it's that you said we did piece, so that they can see that we're listening and doing something about it. I think that's really key. It's no point in having an employee survey if we're not going to do anything about it.
I mean, they are the worst kind when you ask people and then
Yes.
just ignore everything that they've said. I think like I'm a big fan of the co-creation. Like employees, there's so much they can do to improve the company if only they get the opportunity
Yeah.
to, you know, and they
Right.
will, don't
Exactly.
they? Yeah.
They just need to be heard. They don't need to know that somebody's listening. And the minute that you don't listen, or you do a survey and nothing comes out of it, you've lost that trust.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And that's not great for morale either. They need to know that, you know, they're being heard.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I like the pulse side, because I used to work in the civil service, and the engagement survey that I did, it felt like it took days. Like it actually lowered my engagement by doing it. It was so
Right.
destroying.
Yeah,
So
you don't need, it doesn't need to be war and peace, does it?
I still have nightmares about that.
Yeah.
What advice
Short
would
and
you give?
sweet.
Yeah, definitely. That's my approach generally for everything. Just
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
keep it really simple.
And not only that, I think that having them give feedback. So it's all very well ticking a box, but actually, where's the box that says, give us how you're feeling, give us your feedback, because that's just as important.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And we survey employees before we start any program, and that the kind of
Cool.
text box for us, it's kind of like, it's a bit of a no-brainer because it shows the ROI, because we do it afterwards as well, so you've got that direct comparison.
Yeah.
But also for leaders, it's a real eye-opener, because it's stuff that they had never thought about before. But there's a couple of things. One, you get the engagement score, but also like the free text where they get, you know, give their comments at the end.
Right.
It's gold
Exactly.
dust. It's
just, it is.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the piece where I put something together. And in fact, I was just talking to one of the managers about it, and then there was like, there's quite a lot there for them to have a free text, but that's the important bit. That's the important to understand, for them to have to have a voice. It's all very well saying, you know, I agree, don't agree, but what does that mean? Where's the underlying why behind it, so that we can understand what's going on? So that's really key.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. What advice would you give a leader who's growing their team, say an HR leader who is in kind of got big growth plans, and any specifics you'd share from your experience?
I'm not a micromanager. I believe that you trust your team to drive things forward. And from a HR point of view, we're here to coach and mentor behind them to drive them forward as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, you know, having their back and supporting the company, driving it forward. So for me, it's about talking regularly to your senior leadership team or to the managers, and understanding what obstacles or hurdles or blockers they've got. How do we think about around that? What does that mean for the bigger picture? So collaboration for me is key from a HR point of view. To support them, the rest of the team driving the company forward. We hold such a key role in that, because I think that whilst we're not in the front line doing all that, we're the ones in the background going, okay, so where are you at with it? What does that look like? Have you thought about this? And that's key. That's really key. So it's good communication and collaboration with your managers and your leaders.
Yeah, amazing. And you mentioned coaching as well. You a big fan of the coaching culture.
Coaching and mentoring is key. And again, for me, it's because we're not doing the do, they are. But if we can support and coach and mentor them in the right way, and we can see where the strategy is and where the company's going, and they're on the same page, then we're all going in the same direction. So being in the background supporting them is really key. Coaching and mentoring.
I think the impact of coaching in organisations. So I'm working with a client at the moment, and they're introducing coaching more into their line management. And so it's in the construction industry, and rather than saying, well, like, why didn't you do that, or you need to do this, you know, it's kind of asking them questions, so they're actually thinking themselves. rather than just being
exactly
told what
that.
to do, they go and do it. They haven't needed to think because they're just doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, okay,
Precisely.
something's not working, something's not right. Why are they not happy?
Yeah, exactly. And it's making them, it's understanding their own strengths,
Yeah.
and where their progression needs to be, but also for their teams as well. Have you thought about the bigger picture, coaching and mentoring your own team? So it kind of almost feeds down sometimes, because you can almost sometimes hear the manager say exactly what you've asked them previously, and I think it's great. It just means it's working.
Yeah, definitely. That's so good. What would you say what's next? Obviously, kind of, you've got lots of recruitment going on, kind of keeping that engagement up so people aren't leaving and all that sort of thing. But what would you say is like your biggest next priority at Collingwood, apart from just actually, finding your feet there?
Yeah, that's where I'm at the minute. I've got so much on my agenda. I've put a people plan together, so that I can start working my way through it. It's funny because at the moment my priorities keep moving because the business is moving, the demands are moving. So at the minute, we're possibly looking at an office move, which is key. And again, making sure that our employees are going on the same journey as us. As we're growing, does that mean we need new premises? So that's also a big project on the horizon at the moment that I'm kind of involved in. Also, I'm looking at benchmarking, where we're at in the market. What does that mean? So again, looking out for retention and making sure we've got key people in place. So I think I could go on, Rachel, to be fair, because there's so much that I'm going at. So yeah, there's pretty much a bit of everything right now.
Oh, brilliant. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted to mention, whether that's about kind of your own work or about Collingwood before we finish?
I think you've touched on everything that we spoke about, and so, but yeah, I think we're in a growth, and that's the important bit, and that's a great journey to be on, with the company coming into the company. So yeah, it's a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. Tracy, thank you so much for your insight. There's so much I think our viewers can take from this. Really interesting talking about the kind of the recruiting in such a challenging marketplace, and really thinking about that employer brand, also about the retention, and as you say, that growth stuff. So really, really interesting. It's been a pleasure. Thank you once again. And I think from me and from our viewers, good luck in your new role. 3 weeks
Thank
in.
you. Thanks very much.
See what's happened next. And to our viewers, thanks for joining us, and look forward to seeing you at the next Future of Our People interview.